said we needed to triple the Border Patrol. Or now they're going to say we need to quadruple the Border Patrol. Or they'll want a higher fence. Maybe they'll need a moat. Maybe they want alligators in the moat.
The president in Texas kicking off his re-election campaign trying to win Latino votes. Some in his own party, though, say he has not done enough to push immigration reform. Illinois Congressman Luis Gutierrez is chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Immigration Task Force. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. What's your response to the speech yesterday, the big immigration speech by the president?
Well, I'm happy he gave the speech. I wish he had given it a couple of years ago, when there were 40 vote majority in the House of Representatives, when we had 10 extra senators in the Senate, when we had a Democratic majority and we could have then linked with Republican, but he didn't. And so now I just don't want to work into a situation where we're just being, how would I say it, raise false expectations and hopes that somehow through the legislative process, Andrea, you saw the reaction. The governor of Texas wouldn't greet him. The governor of Arizona said no start. The majority leader here in the House of Representatives, Cantor, said it's a no-go. Even in his speech, he couldn't name one Republican leader in the Senate or the House that he was going to partner with in order to bring this about. So it's really, it's a good step, but it's long-term. We need some immediate solutions.
Well, Senator Durbin today reintroduced the DREAM Act. Let's take a look at that on the Senate floor.
The president's right. This is a matter of simple justice. Thousands of immigrant students in America were brought here as children. It wasn't their decision to come here, but they grew up here and they called it home. The fundamental premise of the DREAM Act is an American premise. We don't hold children responsible for the wrongdoings of their parents.
Is Senator Durbin raising expectations falsely? He's been a passionate supporter of this. You know, yes. What is your response to that?
Here's my response. You know, Senator Durbin only knows the friends and the allies that he has, and I wish him Godspeed. But when you're the President of the United States and you have this immense authority and this great discretion, here's another thing that Senator Durbin asked the president to do. Last year, he co-authored a letter with Senator Lugar saying, don't deport and use your discretionary power and don't deport any more Dream Kids. 3 weeks ago, Andrea, as you and others reported, 22 U.S. senators, including Dick Durbin and the Majority Leader Reid, wrote a letter asking the president to use his prosecutorial discretion and not deport them. That doesn't mean we're going to legalize them. That doesn't mean they're on the pathway to citizenship. It simply means we're going to protect them. We're going to give them some protection until such time the Congress finally determines their ultimate disposition. I think the president should do that. He said it. Durbin is absolutely right. We shouldn't hold them responsible. And given the quagmire of politics in which immigration gets thrown into here and the lack of progress that we're going to make, we shouldn't be sending the class valedictorians. 65,000 will graduate this year. Many of them will be class valedictorians. They're going to Harvard, Yale. They're great kids. Why do we hold them responsible for the action? So, look, we can't legalize them, but the president does have the authority and does have the discretion not to deport them, as Senator Durbin and others have asked him to do.
Let me just point out as we move on, Congressman, that the New York Times editorialized today that President Obama at the border did not present a bill or issue any executive orders or set deadlines for action. For all his talk of supporting the hopes of the undocumented, his administration has been doubling down on the failed strategy of mass expulsion. So that really punctuates your argument.
I have to say the following. Look, the President of the United States doubled the Border Patrol. He sent 1,200 National Guardsmen last fall. We approved $600 million more for border enforcement. 400,000 people were deported last year from the United States. The majority of them, not criminals. People working the fields, washing the dishes, making the beds, doing a lot of the work. And you want to know something, Andrea? 4 million American citizen children have one or two parents that are undocumented, and we're deporting their parents and destroying those families. The President of the United States has great discretion. We're not saying to him, Andrea, legalize 12 million people. He can't do that. But certainly he can say to children, American citizen children, you know what? I'm going to set aside. I'm going to use my discretion. I'm going to set aside. I'm going to protect you and let your parents raise and nurture you until Congress. And he's going to say to young people, you know what? It makes no sense. He's used those very words in his tenure. It makes no sense to deport you. He has to use the power that the law already gives him to show some compassion and to show some justice and fairness in the implementation of the law.
Thanks so much, Congressman. And now,
thank you, Andrea.
when we look south to the border, 4 brutal murders, including a pair of beheadings in Mexico, have been reported now just miles from the Texas border, and they are only the latest deaths in a country now overcome by the escalating drug war. Some 38,000 people have been killed there in just the past 4 years. Angela Gutierrez is the Mexico Bureau